Here is what happens when the biggest name in LIV Golf starts holding secret meetings at Augusta National during Masters. Not to prepare, not to scout the course, but to quietly explore what comes. That is exactly what Bryson DeChambeau reportedly did. And the moment that news broke, everything in professional golf shifted. The Athletic reported that DeChambeau, playing in the final season of his original LIV Golf contract, used his time at Augusta this April to meet with unnamed organizations about a potential departure from the Saudi-backed. This is not a rumor from a tabloid. This is a sourced report from one of the most credible sports newsrooms. Now here is why that matters so much. DeChambeau signed a reported $125 million contract when LIV Golf launched 2022. He has won 5 individual LIV title. He is a 2-time U.S. Open champion, having claimed that title in both 2020 and 2024. He has 2.65 million YouTube subscribers, an estimated $20 million per year in off-course earning from sponsors including Reebok, Qualcomm, Google, and Kalsher. He is not just a player inside LIV Golf. He is the product. He is the reason people tune in. Without Bryson DeChambeau, there may be no LIV Golf. And his contract expires at the end of the 2026 season. So the timing of these meetings at Augusta is not random. This is exactly the window when a player in his position would begin making moves if something bigger was already in motion. Earlier this year, the PGA Tour created the returning member program, a defined pathway that allowed certain LIV players to come back to the criteria was specific. Players had to have been away for at least 2 years and must have won a major tournament or the Players' Championship between 2022 and 2025. Brooks Koepka was the one player who took that off. He paid enormous penalties, approximately $63 million in fines and forfeiture, and agreed to donate $5 million to charity to smooth his return. DeChambeau, Jon Rahm, and Cameron Smith were the only 3 other LIV stars qualified under those parameters. All 3 declined before the February 2nd deadline. That is the critical detail. Just months ago, Bryson passed on his chance. Now, according to The Athletic, he is sitting in meetings during Masters Week talking to organizations about his. That is not a minor shift. That is a reversal. Part of what is driving this is the financial reality closing in around LIV. Reports began circulating that Saudi Arabia's public investment, which has poured more than $5 billion into the league's 2021, may be preparing to pull back. LIV Golf CEO Scott O'Neill pushed back, insisting the league is not folding and is fully funded through the 2026 season. But notably, his reassurances stopped there. He made no commitments about what happens after 2026. Adding pressure to the situation, DeChambeau had reportedly been seeking close to $500 million in a new contract to remain with LIV. Internal signals from within the league suggest those kinds of guaranteed deals are no longer realistically on. Then the pushback came from inside LIV itself. Ian Poulter and Lee Westwood jumped on social media and called the reports nonsense. Westwood described it as just another week of nonsense. Poulter said it was staggering how much nonsense comes out daily and called it disappointing. That is not the language players use when a story is meaningless. Senior figures do not go out of their way to publicly deny rumors that carry no weight. The fact that they responded the way they did tells you the report landed with impact inside the locker room. Meanwhile, Bryson's form on the course was not helping the optics. At LIV Golf Mexico City at Club de Golf Chapultepec, he complained about course conditions during the first round, then withdrew after 2 rounds, citing a wrist injury while sitting 16 shots off the lead. This came weeks after he had won back-to-back events in March, claiming victories at both LIV Golf Singapore, LIV Golf South African playoff. The contrast between those performances and his Mexico City exit was stark. On the PGA Tour side, CEO Brian Rolap appeared on the Pat McAfee show and was asked directly about LIV players potentially returning. His response was measured but revealing. "Listen, we're reading all the same headlines you're reading," Rolap said. "We don't know what's going on over there. We know those guys are under contract. We'll respect that." He referenced Koepka's return as the model for how reunification works. Brooks came back onto the tour because he made a phone call and said, "Look, I'm out of my contract. I'm ready to come back." The door is not closed, but the PGA Tour is not opening it. They are waiting. Then DeChambeau himself spoke. After LIV Mexico City, he sat down with Flushing at Golf and addressed the speculation directly. The tone of what he said was not what the exit reports suggest. There are a lot of moving parts like any business. It's a startup, right? And so there's going to be times where we're squeezed, punched. This is one of those moments, DeChambeau said. But I'm going to do everything in my power to make it work, and I really see the value in franchise golf. He went further invoking the younger players who built their careers around LIVs. It's for Michael Lasasso. It's for Caleb Surratt. It's for Joe Zielballis. It's for David Puig, John, Phil, DJ, myself, and the guys that have been here from start. We're okay. It's now our responsibility to take care of these kids that believe in us. That is not the language of someone drafting an exit strategy. That is someone who feels accountable to something bigger than his own contract situation. On the contract itself, he was candid but careful. We're still working on a potential contract. I haven't given up on that, and I think there will be a solution. But as of right now, my job is to help make the league work after. And when pushed on what happens if no deal gets done, he said, as long as LIV is here, I would figure out a way for it to make sense. That is not a yes. It is not a no. It is a man navigating an incredibly complicated situation in real time. Compare that to what he said in January 2026, when he told Front Office Sports that doing YouTube full-time while playing only the 4 majors was an incredibly viable option. His position has clearly moved since then, likely sharpened by a disappointing Masters performance and the broader uncertainty now surrounding LIV future. The bigger picture here is not just about Bryson DeChambeau. It is about Saudi Arabia's financial posture shifting in real time. PIF is facing the consequences of a $73 billion national budget deficit, driven by lower oil revenues and increased domestic spending. The Iran war has further disrupted oil exports and accelerated financial caution across the kingdom. PIF's newly released 2026 to 2030 strategy made no mention of LIV Golf. The fund recently sold 70% of its stake in Al Hilal to a publicly listed Saudi firm, a clear signal of a broader pivot towards sustainable, profitable investment. And with Saudi Arabia hosting the 2034 FIFA World Cup, requiring up to 15 new stadiums and major infrastructure expansion, those resources are being redirected. LIV Golf's own numbers tell a complicated story. Revenue doubled in 2025. The league added more than $100 million at first 5 events in 2026. 10 of 13 franchises are expected to be profitable this, along with 4 events. But net losses outside the U.S. reached $462 million in 2024 alone. Total losses since 2021 exceed $1.1 billion. Senior figures in European golf have privately told BBC Sport they believe 2026 will be LIV's last season. If the league does fold, the path back for players like Rahm, Smith, and DeChambeau is uncertain. Rahm remains in dispute with the DP World Tour. Westwood and Poulter resigned from the tour to avoid fine. Patrick Reed left LIV, accepted his penalties, and is now competing on the DP World Tour while waiting out a 1-year suspension before PGA Tour eligibility resumes in 2027. 3 scenarios are in play. LIV secures outside investment through franchise limited partner sales. City's global sports advisory has been retained to assist. Bryson signs a reduced but still significant deal and stays. Or PF ends its funding. LIV collapses after 2026, and DeChambeau becomes a free agent navigating whatever reinstatement terms the PGA Tour sets. Or, least likely given his public statements, he finds a way out before the league itself does. What is clear is that Bryson DeChambeau is the most powerful individual in this entire equation. Every carefully worded statement he makes is simultaneously genuine. He is the face LIV cannot afford to lose, and every party in this situation, the PGA Tour, LIV Golf, the PIF, the players below him on the roster, is watching what he does next.